Hey, it's been a minute. This is a really interesting setup. I don't have any better way to do it, so I'm just doing this the old fashioned way. Quick time player in a dream, you know? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Oh, this is shaky. Let me investigate. Sure. Let's get cozy. Let's have a chat. I might edit this one a little bit more than the last video, but not a crazy amount. I need to trim my bangs. That is something I be saying all the time, and then it barely happens. But yeah, what's happening? What's up? A lot has changed. Since I filmed the last video. But I'm doing well. I've been through some moments lately in my absence, but yeah, we're on the up and up. I wanted to talk about the importance of trans community and how life-saving it is to have a community to lean on, whether that be in person or online. I think they're both super valuable. Obviously, not everyone is going to have the ability to be in a huge trans community in person, or to go to many trans specific events. I do still think it's possible to find trans people and trans friends everywhere. And if not other trans people, definitely allies. I do believe there's a lot of good in this world. I'm getting right into it. I'm not even, wow, okay. Well, okay, first, before the good stuff. I did my makeup today for the first time in, I don't even know. I think it was when I did the Disney college program the first 6 months of the year. It was fine. It was fun at times. When I was working at Disney, I did my makeup every single day, and that was a lot. So I have been back at college. I'm here for my senior year. Yay, but also scary. I don't really want it to be over. I'm going to be really sad when it is, because also then what the hell do I do? But yeah, yeah, uh, I also, a couple of weeks ago, went through a breakup of a nearly 5 year relationship. That's been major, obviously. I initiated it, but that does not make it any easier. Fun fact. Yeah, that's really fun. That's a really fun fact. But it's okay. I'm doing well. Yeah, despite the horrors. But the horrors have basically subsisted. Subsisted? That's a word. Maybe. Subsided is what I meant, but anyway, yeah, so those things have been dominating my mind, but at the same time, I've been making a crazy amount of trans friends, and then I've been watching trans, media and reading trans stuff. I've been really, and I said this in my introduction video as well, like, I've always done this, where I just, like, gravitate towards trans creators and stuff. But I've never not been intentional about it, but I've been extra intentional about it when it comes to, like, short films and feature films lately. There's not much. You really have to dig. What y'all know about Castration Movie by Louise Word? Big fan. Watched it last week. And then also tapped into the first hour and a half of Castration Movie 2. But then, unrelated to the movie, I had a really bad anxiety attack, and I got off the live stream and wasn't able to finish it in the 24 hours that I had access to it. So I have not seen the entirety of it, but I was a big fan of what I did see. Anyway, just watching stuff by trans creators, there's just something about it. I wrote something, a little, maybe I'll read it. I'll read it right now. After I watched Castration Movie 1, I wrote this, like, little summary of what it meant to me to watch trans content. I also want to shout out Tony Porter Bridges. She's a phenomenal YouTuber who has made a lot of similar content to what, like, I'm kind of striving to make, which is just, like, very simple, like, just talking about her own journey and transition, that type of stuff. She made a video recently about good trans movies, and I had seen the vast majority of them, but I hadn't seen a few of the short films she mentioned. I also watched those, really loved them, and I had heard of Castration Movie, but her video was what really stirred me to watch it, and I'm so glad that I did. So shout out to her. Tony, if you're here, hello. Not to be parasocial about it. Anyway, I'm gonna read what I wrote after watching Castration Movie for the first time. And at the beginning, I'm referencing a different piece that I wrote the night before, so don't get confused. I've been writing like crazy lately, which is like my favorite thing. So clearly, I've been in a very complicated but good mood, if I've been able to do that a crazy amount, if that makes sense. Anyway, I wrote a small piece last night about the way it felt to spend my hours consuming media made by other trans women. On the other side of yet another day full of said activity, and with a 4.5 hour viewing of Louise Word's groundbreaking Castration Movie 1 under my belt, I feel even more qualified to explore the feeling. There's something so visceral about trans art. I'm not sure if that's an inherent quality of our art or if it's simply something I feel as a fellow trans person. Whatever the cause, I fucking devour the way it makes me feel. It's probably what it feels like for a believer to go to church. To be clear, let me be clear. I'm not saying that being trans is a religion. It's a metaphor. Okay. Like all of this has meaning. Like I'm not alone. Like the shittiness is truly the means to an end that I'm slowly starting to visualize. It's incredible and unlike anything else I've ever felt. Castration Movie is raw and unforgiving in its unabashed nature to be as real as humanly possible. I feel like I just lived out memories. I felt transported in such a bizarre way, especially when it is a project that exists without many of the technical confines and strategies my film school education has taught me are necessities. I was just let into someone else's world for 4.5 hours. My heart is bleeding for my community, for the women who walk the same road I do. I'm not even sad, I'm ecstatic. Ripped to shreds, but totally in love with living. This might be the best case scenario for trans living. I love our community to death, even the difficult parts. Every microcosm of bigger niches and communities that we have co-opted and turned into something uniquely ours, much like our genders. We're rough around the edges, we've been dragged through every puddle of mud on this godforsaken planet, and yet we still have the ability to make shit, to do shit, to live in spite of it all. It's so beyond empowering. I can't even articulate it, although I'm desperately trying to here. I think the only way I'll ever come close to explaining this feeling is to fight to capture it on film or in writing, much like the things I've been watching today and in the months and years prior, by putting pen to paper and getting it done. And just like I had to learn to do with myself and my own identity, I need to learn to live in the uncomfortable, to not expect perfection from my art, to just use my voice, no matter how I stick the landing. We don't get to be polished. If we do, we just got lucky. Maybe I'll get lucky, maybe I won't. Maybe luck is subjective and shitty art can be just as beautiful if it is, in its heart of hearts, real. That's probably all it takes. Being trans has not only made me a better woman, a better person, but also a better artist. I have no doubt about that. I understand creativity in such a visceral way because I've had to use it, at first as a crutch and then as a genuine survival method. I built myself from the scraps of everyone around me, but most of all from the visions I'd always had about who I'm meant to be. I'm still doing that, daily, and yet I feel writer's block? Who am I kidding? Writer's block is to me what gender dysphoria also was, a nuisance, useless, maybe a warning sign that I needed to make some big change, but nothing more. I'm making that big change. Small change, really. I'm not gonna not make stuff anymore. I'm going to make stuff like my life depends on it because I think it kind of does. And that's what I wrote. And I think that also ties into this channel and what I'm doing here very much so. Just literally just hitting record, doing some, like I said, light editing, but then just sharing this very raw piece of myself. I've also found myself lately, and this is something I was kind of talking about with my parents, and I'm going back to therapy for the first time in a long time tomorrow. And I'm very excited for it. And this is definitely something I'm going to bring up. And I don't even know if it's a bad or a good thing. I think it's complicated. But I've realized, I've actively noticed about myself as I have transitioned, as I've been very vulnerable with people by going through this journey on a scale that like can be seen, going through these things that my friends and my family and strangers are all interpreting in all of these different ways. I have found myself trying to beat people to the questions that I know people are asking. I, as a trans woman, have felt responsible for answering the difficult questions. And because I am genuinely passionate about transitioning, not just like obviously about myself, but like I find trans lives and the process of transitioning and trans science and politics and all that stuff. I find that interesting and compelling. It's like a genuine interest of mine, that I really sort of hyperfixate on. And that's been great in a lot of ways. I think one of those ways is it has made me readily able, not just to know the information to be able to better explain to people what I'm going through and why, but just because I have fun talking about it, I guess is what I'm saying. And like I said, I try and beat people to the difficult questions. I guess probably because I'm seeking validation. I try to like address the elephant in the room. Like, yes, I'm a trans woman. Let me dive into that. Let me answer all the difficult things. But I've also found myself doing it with every other aspect of myself. Just telling people everything. And I've sort of, always been that way, but I think I've taken it to another level post transition. I want to say post, during. It's never going to be post, though. That's not how it works, in my opinion. But if it was, I guess I am. I'm past the threshold. You know what I mean? Like, I'm over the biggest lump. I don't know if lump was the word, but you see what I'm saying. Hill, maybe, is a normal way to say it. So yeah, that's something I've noticed about myself. I'm gonna try to keep a few more things to myself lately than I have been in the past few months. But still, I do just think it is in my nature and who I am as a person and my values to be pretty transparent with people. But again, I do think a lesson I've had to learn and slowly starting to put into practice is to keep some stuff to myself, or at least to keep it to like small groups of people that I love and trust and hold dear, rather than telling everyone and their mother about the things I'm going through and the intimate personal details of my life. Again, time and place for that, but time and place for that doesn't mean everywhere and every time. But yeah, watching Castration Movie, watching all these short films, I've been finding so many online friends. I've always been doing that, but I've been doing it at a pretty extreme pace lately. Well, not really. I mean, I've met a few people, but I've really sought that out because that's so important. I'm also co-president of the queer club here on campus at my university, and we had our first meeting. I got to lead it. I got to kind of be like, Mrs. President about it. Not Mrs. Miss. Sorry, I didn't marry into my presidential duties. And that was so much fun and is so important and felt so wonderful to be able to give people that. Not like it wouldn't exist without me, but just to have a part in that, because that club and that community, although most of the people that were there when I first went to the club are graduated now, just to come into that space that was so important to me at super vital times of my life and my transition, just means so much. It's just so exciting, and I'm so honored to be able to fill that role. I am at a place, and I've been at this place for a few months, but like I really truly deeply am now, where I am just so proud to be trans, despite everything, despite literally it being one of the worst eras potentially ever for us to exist in. I'm thriving on such a crazy degree, and not in spite of my transness. Dare I say, because of it. Not only do I feel comfortable with myself, looking at myself, which is invaluable, and that's been ever since I started tumbling down the path of transitioning. That's been true. It's very, very clearly there has been a healing process for my own personal identity, and again, the time I spend alone in my room, looking at myself in the freaking camera, in the mirror, all that stuff. That was a pretty fast healing thing for me. Then I slowly watched it heal the other relationships I've had in my life. That's probably been the most difficult thing. I haven't had really any terrible experiences, but it certainly has shifted a lot of things, and I've had to spend a lot of time just meticulously making sure those relationships are okay, trying my very best to maintain them, while also knowing that most of it is unfortunately going to be on other people. You don't really owe people much when you're transitioning. They just owe you the same kindness, the same whatever that they had for you before, and then you just sort of have to hope that they meet you where you're at. But then again, like in making new connections, I found that so healing and wonderful, and again, forming that community, online, in person, what have you, is, I've probably said invaluable a bunch of freaking times, but it's invaluable. Like, it's truly the greatest thing ever. The greatest thing ever. And so, all of those factors combined, I am just so lucky to be trans. And it's not just because I'm saying that I'm lucky to be a woman now, because yes, that as well. But I know that this is like a hotly debated thing. It definitely depends on the trans person, and I get where people on both sides are coming from. Dear Lily here, I am about to say the exact opposite of what I mean. What I mean to say is that I wouldn't want to be born cis. So don't listen to Lily of the past. That's not what she means. But for me personally, I wouldn't want to be born trans. I'm thankful for my transition, despite all the pain, and for being a trans woman rather than a cis woman. Just because I think trans people are beautiful and wonderful and so incredibly cool, and I think, although it has put me in a lot of precarious and dangerous and painful situations, I have come out on the other side a better person because of that. A more fully formed person because of that. And as I said in the little thing I was reading that I wrote, I think it's also made me a better artist, ironically. So I don't think objectively trans people are better, but I think there is something special about each and every one of us that kind of is. Like, again, not like better like on a baseline level. I believe everyone's equal. I believe everyone's beautiful and has the potential to do amazing things. But there is a certain little spark to trans people that I've always been drawn to, and that I am just in love with and obsessed with and so thankful to be a part of. So I hope this has made you feel good about your transness. I don't know if this is just a stage I'm in, like, at this point in my transition, because I don't think I would resonate with a lot of this very early on, because I was very skeptical and I was breaking down a bunch of barriers and just preconceived notions and stuff. And like, when you're going through all that initial stuff and all the painful stuff, it's very hard to look at someone who's happy being trans and understand. It's hard to look at transness as a blessing when you're in the throes of the initial stages. But if you are there, and if you are feeling that pain, and if you are like, how the hell can I feel good about this and like think of it as a blessing, like, I believe that you'll get there, and that with time you'll see what I mean, and that it's going to be wonderful. And just a reminder that you have all the strength you need, and that anyone with what's the best way to say this? That you are going to do a lot of hard things, and you're going to come out on the other side of it, and you're going to be so proud of yourself, and I'm going to be so proud of you, and your whole community is going to be so proud of you, and it's going to be wonderful, no matter if there are some people who aren't proud of you or what have you. Like, the strength it takes, the tenacity, the dedication, that is what makes us so powerful. Like, not in a cheap, like, holistic, like, self-help way, like, but we just are so freaking powerful, despite everything, maybe everything pushing us down in this world, the way it's built, which is not for us. Despite all of it, we exist, and we exist beautifully and wonderfully and loudly. And again, I'm gonna say it one more time: invaluable. Write that down. Other words of the day to write down that might be very important. Makeup, in parentheses, optional. T for T, in parentheses, optional-ish. What else? Go hug someone. Go find community, even if it's online. If you can't, I guess, if you're online, you can't hug someone. Go tell someone you want to hug them. Go tell someone you're proud of them. There we go. That's an easier one. All right, this was, I don't know what this was, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm so happy to be making this kind of content, and I look forward to making more of it. And I hope you enjoy. Sending you all my love. You're beautiful. You're wonderful, and have a great day. Have the best day. Have the best week ever. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm gonna shut up now. But like, you get what I'm saying. Like it's all gonna be good. It's all gonna be good in the end. Mwah. Bye.